Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Generaider test hands. I'm really excited for this deck because this deck is an amazing deck that's actually based on Norse mythology, and it's a really cool, and it's probably has some of the best artwork in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! From Jormungandr to Har Generaider Boss of Storms. It's a really cool deck in the way that it actually plays because it's totally focused around using the field spell to be able to go off into additional plays, and you might see a card like this and going, wow, how am I going to normal summon it out? But you actually never normal summon any of your Generaider monsters outside of the level 4, you're going to use your copy of your field spell to actually get it out on your field with the greatest of ease. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name scratched from every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month through a patron along with test hands. So, without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So, this deck is a really amazing deck. Like I said, it's actually based on Norse mythology, and the really cool thing that if you guys are familiar with it, this is actually based on Yggdrasil, and actually in the Norse mythology, quick history lesson for you guys, but this is actually Yggdrasil that's based on the 9 realms, which is really cool in Norse mythology, and each one of the Generaider monsters in the picture, if you guys didn't know it, but in any of the pictures you can actually see, like up here above Utgard, you can actually see it, which is really cool, and you can actually see if you take another one, like your copy of Har, you can actually see it right there. Depending on where they're at, depends on which one it is, which is a really neat, cool thing that you can find in each one of the pictures of your Generaider cards. I love that. I think it's really cool and think that it's a really awesome like kind of Easter egg inside of each one of the each side of one of the pictures. So let's go ahead and see what we can do and see what we can actually pull off in some of these test hands. We're going to really quickly pile shuffle the deck and see what we can pull off. So basically what you're trying to do is get your field spell on your side of the field and then use that to be able to special summon during your opponent's turn, because you play a lot during your opponent's turn to be able to go off and special summon out your copy of Har, which is actually based on Odin, which is kind of cool, to be able to special summon that card on your side of the field to be able to go off with additional play. So let's go ahead and pile shuffle and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck, and we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Extravagance, a copy of Hela, a copy of Infinite Impermanence, a copy of World Legacy Monstrosity, and a copy of Ash Blossom. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Extravagance, and we're going to banish the top 6 off the deck, which is going to be totally fine. You don't really need the top 6 of the extra deck. And we're going to draw 2, which is going to get us a copy of Boss Fight and a copy of Needhog. Now this is a really good hand because you actually have 9 ways in the deck to get to your copy of your field spell, which I'm going to really quickly show you guys because I'm going to go through the deck anyways during my opponent's turn. So I'm going to show you guys this really quick. You actually have the copy of Boss Fight, you have the copy of Boss Quest, and you play 3 of each of these, and then you have the field spell itself that you can hard draw as well. So you have 9 ways to actually get to the field spell, which is really cool. And the other cool thing is actually the field spell is based on Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life. So just fun facts as we go. So once you go into this turn, you're going to be able to set your copy of Boss Fight to your field, and you can actually activate the copy of World Legacy Monstrosity to be able to special summon out your copy of Needhog, because it's going to get you some negations against your opponent. Set the copy of the Infinite Impermanence and pass against your opponent. So once you pass against your opponent, they're going to draw for turn, and you're going to immediately activate your copy of your Boss Fight. So when you activate Boss Fight, it's really a neat card because what it does is it lets you activate the field spell directly from the deck. So once you get that field spell on your side of the field, its effect will go off because you're both going to draw a card off your copy of Boss Fight. So when you both draw a card, I'm going to draw into a copy of Condemn Witch. It doesn't matter what my opponent draws because it's going to use my copy of Boss Stage to let me special summon out a copy of Har Generaider Boss of Storms. It can be any Generaider monster. It doesn't matter which one you get, but it usually is going to be Hard that you're going to special summon. Now, the reason I actually special summon Needhog to my field is because it has the ability that if my opponent is going to tribute summon, or if my opponent's going to special summon a monster to their field, I can quick effect tribute a Generaider monster or a worm monster to negate the summon, and if I do, destroy that card. So I can tribute itself or tribute one of these tokens on my side of the field to be able to instantly negate that card, to be able to instantly negate the summon, which is going to be super cool, to be able to instantly negate the summon, which is really amazing. And then the copy of Har can negate a monster or a card effect by distributing 2 tokens on your side of the field as well. So you guys are unfamiliar with what the field spell does, let's really quickly go over it. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that field spell and see what it does. So basically what this card does is once per turn, if a card is added from their main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the damage step, which counts during the draw phase as well, you can special summon a Generaider monster from the deck in defense position, which is a really good effect. To be able to special summon, that's how we actually got our Har out on our side of the field. It also has the ability, if you special summon a Generaider monsters during your opponent's turn, then you can special summon as many Generaider tokens that are fairy, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase, even if this card leaves the field, which is a very powerful effect. Just to get these monsters on your side of the field is a really, really powerful thing, because you're essentially using both of these as 2 negations, and you also have the copy of Infinite Impermanence that you can activate as well. The only thing that you kind of got to be aware about is actually don't put it under your copy of Har, put it under one of your other monsters, like one of your tokens, and then you can also use your copy of Ash as a negation. So you essentially just set your field up with 4 negations. The negation of a summon. The Har can actually negate the activation of or when a card or effect is activated, you contribute 2 Generaider monsters, or a spellcaster negate the activation if you destroy it. So it's literally anything. And then your copies of your Impermanence can negate a monster, and your copy of Ash can negate a add, which is really cool. And then the Needhog can negate a special summon. So you have all of these on the field that just have negations, which is really good, just at the cost of the tokens, which is really neat because you have all those different plays. If you go into the next turn and you draw, you're going to draw into a copy of Terrace, which is really good. Normal summon out your copy of Condemned Witch. The Condemned Witch is going to add your copy of Chalice, which is going to get you another negate. And then you're going to pass to your opponent. When you pass to the opponent, you're going to be able to use your copy of your boss stage again. And they're going to draw for turn, and it's going to go off to be able to get you a copy of your Lopter on your side of the field. Or, since we have the Condemned Witch, you actually don't want to summon that. You actually have another card that you can summon. You can actually summon your Uthgard, or you can special summon out a copy of your Hela to your side of the field. I usually like to summon Hela on my side of the field because it's going to get me a revival from the graveyard, which is pretty nice, just at the cost of tributing 1 card. So we're going to go ahead and use it with our copy of Condemned Witch now. Tribute the copy of Condemned Witch to be able to special summon out to our side of the field a copy of Lopter. Lopter's effect can go off as well, which you can tribute it and be able to special summon an additional monster onto our side of the field that's a Generaider from the deck, which is really, really good. And then also, you're going to get that copy of your token before your Condemned Witch goes off. As the field spell's resolving, as soon as the Hela touches the field, you're going to get the token. So it actually resolve a little bit more like this. You get your copy of Hela, you get your copy of your token, you tribute this, and then you put your copy of your Lopter on your side of the field instead of actually going off with that play that way. And then when you normal summon the copy of your Condemned Witch, you can set this to be able to activate it during your opponent's turn, which is really, really nice. So let's go ahead and go into the next test hand and see what we can actually do. That's basically the combo for the deck that you're trying to get the field spell as quickly as possible to your side of the field. It's very, very important to get the field spell on your side of the field as quickly as possible, because if you don't get the field spell, you're going to be kind of in a bad way, because the field spell is just so important for this deck. To be able to grab that, it's just really, 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 really good. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up again and see what we can actually do. Go ahead and make sure you put your copies of your extravagance targets back, because you don't care about the extra deck all that much. It's kind of important to get those cards out of the extra deck anyways. Like, they don't matter. They're just basically there, except for Jormungandr and maybe the Beast, Sacred Beast. Like, they're toolbox. So let's go ahead and draw. We're going to draw into a copy of Tiras, a copy of Boss Fight. Boss Fight is great to draw into. Ash Blossom, the Boss Stage, and another Ash Blossom. This is not a bad hand at all, because as long as you can put the copy of Boss Fight on the field, or Boss Stage on the field, you're fine. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Boss Stage and set the copy of Boss Fight. And then this is a really good field because you actually have the copies of Ash that you can discard a copy of Ash if you need to, if your opponent searches anything. But what you're going to do is it's immediately draw phase. They draw for their turn. You're going to special summon out a Generaider, which I always special summon Har to my side of the field. As soon as Har touches the field, I get my tokens, which is really, really nice. They are in attack position. They are 1500 attack, but it's not that big of a deal because you need to get them out. Now, the cool thing as well is since you have Tiras in your hand, there's a neat play with this. You can actually tribute the 3 tokens mid-combo against your opponent and be able to go ahead and special summon out the copy of Tiras, which gets you a draw 2 and gets to pop a monster on your opponent's side of the field, which is really cool, or pop a card on your opponent's side of the field, which is really cool. But you'll have to do a little bit of a sacrifice if you're going to use the Har's effect, because you'll have to tribute the Har itself and the copy of the other token, which is a little bit of a downside, but getting a draw 2 and a pop is pretty good and well worth it, because you can get it back later with another card. So we're going to get our draw 2, which is an Infinite Impermanence, and a copy of War Legacy Monstrosity. The Monstrosity fixes the entire problem of the Har, because I'm going to show you guys why. So you can go ahead and use the copy of Har's effect to get you another negation if your opponent activates something, and then we're going to be left with the Tiras on our side of the field. Now if they leave us with this, we're fine. So we're going to go ahead and have the Infinite Impermanence that you can set against your opponent, and then you can activate the copy of War Legacy Monstrosity, but you're going to draw first before you do any of that. I always get ahead of myself when I forget to draw, but you can go ahead and set this to your side of the field, and then the copy of Boss Stage is just going to be an added bonus, and you can activate the copy of Monstrosity. Monstrosity is a very powerful card in this deck, which lets you target a level 9 monster in your field and lets you special summon 2 monsters with different original types and attributes from your deck. So I always special summon a copy of, say, Needhog to my side of the field, but they destroy themselves during the end phase, so it's a little bit bad to be able to destroy them during the end phase, but you have something like Hela that can just tribute another monster, so you can just get more plays. And then I special summon out one that I really am not too concerned about, that I really want to get a play off, like a copy of Mardell, because Mardell will actually go off to be able to use her effect, because it doesn't negate their effects, it actually just basically stops you from it basically just destroys them and they can't attack. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Mardell's effect, and we're going to actually get a copy of Lopter, and then you're going to use your copy of Hela to tribute your copy of your Mardell to get back your copy of Har to your field, and then you can normal summon the copy of Lopter to your side of the field, and then overlay both of these for a copy of Jormungandr. Now I will say this to you guys, it is very, very, very important you actually put the Jormungandr in the extra monster zone, because you want this zones saved for your copies of your other cards, like your copies of your tokens, because it's really important during your opponent's turn to be able to get those tokens back. And with the copy of your Jormungandr, you're not going to be able to do that. Now you can activate the copy of Jormungandr if you want to, and then be able to detach a card off of it. And then once you detach the card off of it, both you and your opponent will draw a card, and then both you and your opponent will attach a card to this card as a material, which is really good. So your opponent gets a material, you get a material, this goes to 3,000, and then during your opponent's turn, the copy of Lopter will boost both of these up by 1,000 against your opponent, which is really cool. And you have the Infinite Impermanence and the copy of Boss Stage, which is really good as well. So let's go into the next test hand and see what we can actually pull off, because as you guys can see, this deck is pretty crazy in what it can pull off. Just getting all those negations against your opponent and being able to go into some crazy plays is just awesome for this deck. It's really easy to get a bunch of level 9s on your side of the field, which is really, really, really awesome. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand and see what we can pull off. Let me go ahead and flip this dice back over. So let's go ahead and see. We're going to draw into a Forbidden Chalice, a copy of Boss Stage, a copy of World Legacy Monstrosity, Boss Fight, and a copy of Har. We draw Har just about every single game. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I only played it 2. I don't know what's happening. So we're going to go ahead and set the copy of Forbidden Chalice, a copy of Boss Fight, and then we're going to activate our copy of our Boss Stage, and then I would probably activate the Monstrosity to special summon the Har to my field, and then pass. You can wait and then activate it during your opponent's turn as well, but I like to go ahead and just get it out of the way if you can, if you want to. It's totally up to you. But then during our opponent's turn, they're going to draw, and then once they draw, you're going to immediately get to special summon out a copy of a copy of a monster from the deck, which I usually like to special summon out a copy of Hela, because Hela's going to get me more plays, or the copy of Lopter. Usually Lopter is a little bit better. I'm not going to shuffle because I'm going to go right back in. You can tribute the copy of Lopter, but before you do, get your tokens on your side of the field. Now you can, if you want to, tribute the Lopter and actually get a really neat play. So we're going to tribute the copy of Lopter, and we're going to get the copy of Hela, and then Hela's effect will go off to be able to tribute this on your side of the field and get your Lopter back on your field, but this time in defense position, because you don't want to leave it in attack position. Now this is at 4,000, these are at 2,500, this is at 38, and this is at 25. So your opponent's going to have a hard press to get through your plays, and you also have a negation here and a negation here to be able to tribute the 2 tokens on your side of the field to give a basically negate against anything, which is really nice. So we're going to go into the next turn, and we're going to draw into a copy of Needhog, which is not going to help us out all that much, but we still have this on the field that we can overlay with if you need to. You can overlay both of these, or you can tribute off the copy of Lopter to go into another play if you want to go that route. So you have those really, really, really neat plays in this deck. So let's go ahead and do another test hand and see what we can pull off, because this deck really pops off. And at any time, if your opponent pops your field spell, if you have Boss Fight, you can just get it right back. Like, it's not even that big a deal. because if they pop it, you can just activate another one and draw a card, which is really nice. So you have a lot of ways to actually play around if they do pop the field spell or deal with a field spell in some sort of way by banishing it, popping it, negating it, anything that happens, as long as it's removed from the field, you can activate boss fight. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. Go ahead and cut the deck and see what we can do. So we're going to draw for Extravagance, Condemned Witch, Boss Stage, and a Monstrosity. So immediately, Extravagance, go ahead and hit it for 6. Always go for 6. Always for 6. And then you draw 2, which we get a Tiras and a copy of Har. See, there he is again. There he is again. And we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Boss Stage. Then we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Condemned Witch to our field. Condemned Witch will go off, searching our copy of Chalice from deck to hand. Shuffle that deck up really quick, and then you can set the copy of Monstrosity and pass turn. When you pass turn, you're going to be able to activate the copy of Boss Stage if you want to. And once you activate the copy of Boss Stage, you're going to be able to put a copy of a Generaider monster from your deck on your field, which is going to be a copy of Har. I always special summon Har. I feel like it's the best one. Or you can activate this during your turn and put the copy of Har on your field and go for the Lopter play. But if you want to play a little bit more defensively, leave that card set, and it will give you some more advantage against your opponent and later on. Then go ahead and put these on your side of the field like this, and then use your copy of Condemned Witch to be able to put a copy of Lopter on your field because it is a fairy monster, which is really nice. And then you have the copy of the Forbidden Chalice that you could have set during your turn, and you can also tribute all 3 of these tokens to be able to special summon out the Tiras to your field as well. And then you can use the copy of the Tiras to pop a monster and draw 2, which is really nice. So then when you go to your turn, you're going to be able to activate the Pot of Extravagance, banish 6 more. Might as well just lay down 3 because you know it's 6, because 6 and 6 is 12, and then this is 15. And we actually got to keep a copy of the Tree Beast and a copy of World Gear, which is pretty cool. And then we get to draw 2, and we draw into a copy of Condemned Witch and Boss Quest. Now you can actually, if you want to, use your copy of Boss Quest and be able to reveal the copy of Har in your hand with the copy of Boss Quest, and then be able to grab out of the deck a copy of Boss Room and Boss Fight. Because you already had the field spell, it's not really necessary to grab anything else. The copy of Har will touch the bottom of the deck and go directly down, which is totally fine to be able to do. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and overlay, or you can activate the copy of World Legacy Monstrosity, which will get your copy of Needhog on your side of the field. Now, you can do something kind of neat here if you want to. You can tribute the copy of your Lupter on your side of the field to special summon out an additional monster, which could be your Hela, and then you could use the copy of Hela with your copy of the Lopter to get it back on your field, or vice versa. You just leave it, and then you can link summon. If you want to link summon, this is what I would probably do here, and you can go ahead and link summon into a copy of your World Gear. So World Gear is a very neat card in this particular instance because you're going to be able to do some really neat stuff with this particular hand. Since you have that on your side of the field, you can then board wipe your opponent if you need to. This card is pretty much a board wipe, which is what's really crazy. Yes, it will pop your Chalice. Yes, it will pop your Heart. And yes, it will pop your field spell, but it totally board wipes your opponent because it has the ability that since you use 3 monsters of different types and different attributes, you can destroy all cards on the field, which we did. You actually used Needhog, which was a worm, Tiras, which was a fairy, and your copy of Hela, which was a zombie dark, and it was a water, light, and dark, which is pretty cool just to be able to go into this card. This is one of the few decks that this card can actually pop off in, and then you can set all these to your field and pass, and when you pass against your opponent, you can then use the effects of your monsters, like your copy of your Boss Room and your copy of Boss Fight, which is going to be able to get your copy of your field spell back out, and once you get your field spell back out, its effect will go off since you both draw a card, which we're going to shuffle really quickly, draw a card. Actually, we don't draw like that. We draw like this. We're going to draw a copy of Ash, which is great. And then your copy of your Boss Stage will go off and be able to put an additional Har on your side of the field, and then you'll get your 4 tokens, which is pretty neat because now you have a 3500 beat stick and you have the copy of Har on the field, and if they try and respond to it, you can just make both players draw a card, and you have the copy of the Ash Blossom in the hand that you can discard as well, which is pretty good to go off with. So I think that's going to be it for this particular test hand, guys. I think that thoroughly explained exactly how the deck works. Basically, your entire deck revolves around getting boss stage on your field as quickly as possible. It is literally the most important card in the entire deck to be able to get on your side of the field, because if you don't get that, you kind of don't have plays, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you do have some backup plays that you can go for if you don't draw into the field spell. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.